Hello and welcome to TV on TV. I'm State Representative Tommy Vitolo. You're watching Brookline Interactive Group. Today is Thursday, August 19th, and like every week, we've got a great show for you this week. We'll start with the news, but then we're going to go right over to our good friend Juan Cantu, who is the Executive Director of Steps to Success here in Brookline. And we're going to learn about him in his new role as Executive Director. We're going to learn about Steps to Success and how the program is so impactful for kids of a variety of ages, and also about some things coming up. But as promised, first, the news, and we'll start with international news. On Sunday, the Taliban seized control of Afghanistan after former President Ashraf Ghani fled the country. Although the Taliban expressed a desire for peace, thousands of Afghans attempted to flee the country, while remaining protesters were met with violence. President Biden has vowed to continue support for the Afghans. Haiti is recovering from a magnitude 7.2 earthquake and a tropical depression, both of which struck the country within a span of 3 days. These natural disasters come only weeks after the Haitian president was assassinated, and so our near neighbor is really struggling through some tough times. Yesterday, the Massachusetts Teachers Association, the largest teachers union in the state, joined the call for vaccine requirements for all education workers and eligible students. This comes as COVID cases continue to rise due to the Delta variant. The 2020 census tabulated that Brookline's population is 63,198. That's an increase of 7.6% over 10 years ago, and slightly outpaces the statewide population, which is now in excess of 7 million. The town also became more diverse, with people identifying as BIPOC growing to 32% of the town's population. The Brookline Department on Public Health received a $43,000 grant to provide 500 residents with coupons for fresh food from the Brookline Farmers Market. Slow news week, it's August, and so we're going to jump right into our interview filmed just earlier with Juan Cantu, the Executive Director of Steps to Success. We'll see you on the flip side. And as I promised, we're here today with the Executive Director of Steps to Success, Juan Cantu. And, we're so glad that he spent some time with us today. Obviously, as we're getting close to the school kickoff, he's a busy man, but he gave us some time. Juan, thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here and happy to talk about our work and let the town of Brookline know what we're doing.
Well, first, we want to get to know you. I know you're new to Steps to Success. So tell us a little bit about, your background and some of the ingredients that make you who you are.
For sure. So I've been with Steps to Success as the new executive director for just over 1 month. It's my 5th week, but I come from a lot of experience with nonprofit space and philanthropy space, especially in education. But a little bit about myself, my background. I'm originally from South Texas. I was the first of 3 children born in South Texas to 2 immigrants from Mexico. And was really passionate about education, loved to read, and would not be where I am without support from my family, from mentors, from teachers, counselors, the whole system down south. And I was lucky enough to get to college, to Harvard, through support from mentors, through after school programs, through my physics teacher who told me to apply to college, to apply places where I wasn't thinking about, but because I had folks who were looking out after me, I'm here now. When I came up for college, a long time ago, I fell in love with the city and the area, and I've been here ever since. After I graduated from Harvard, I worked at Hydro Task Force, which is a nonprofit in Jamaica Plain, very similar to Steps to Success. They supported low-income students in Boston through education and arts. And then after that, went to grad school. I worked at the Boston Foundation for a few years, running their post-secondary work program. And now I'm here at STEPS, trying to get back and make sure that I support students who have similar upbringings to myself, low-income students, first-generation college goers, students that have to overcome obstacles, maybe speak a different language at home. But I'm here and happy to be talking to so many folks in Brookline. Everyone's been very supportive and helpful so far, and I'm happy to be here.
So Steps to Success helps students like the ones you mentioned, but for viewers at home, tell us a little more about what is this organization and what's it all about?
For sure. So Steps to Success, we're a nonprofit organization that works very closely with the Public Schools of Brookline and the Brookline Housing Authority. So together we make sure to support students and families who are part of the Brookline Housing Authority who attend Brookline Public Schools through a variety of after school and out of school time programs. So we currently serve students starting in the 4th grade all the way till after they graduate college. So pretty big pipeline. Currently, we have about around 320 or so students from that pipeline that are actively being supported by our program. So our programs range from extended learning and for our earlier grades to after school homework help to college access to internship support. So really ranges with what the students need, depending on how old they are, what grade they're in. But we're mainly at the Ridley, Pierce, Lawrence, and Lincoln schools, and then obviously at Brookline High.
And that's really a function of where much of Brookline's subsidized housing happens to be, right? I mean, if that's your constituency, you've got to go to the schools that they're attending. So I want to kind of think about it. I mean, I imagine the needs of 4th graders and the needs of high school grads are a little bit different. So let's start with like the 4th through 8th grade when you're at the neighborhood schools. Tell us, what the experience would be for a student in a given week, or what that would feel like for them, and what their sort of needs are, and where you fill that in.
Absolutely. And like you said, 4th graders need different support than your college goers, right? So for our younger students in the elementary grades or 4th, 5th, 6th grades, we usually provide enrichment activities and sort of career access learning opportunities. So learning about different types of things that they might be able to do when they, finish high school, finish college, and learn about that. But we also make a big effort to do a lot of work with social and emotional learning and outdoor exploration. A lot of our young people who do live in housing authority or in subsidized housing, they often don't have time or the ability or the opportunity to access those outside explorations, like going to camp or going skiing. And those are some of the things that through partnerships with programs, we've been able to provide this to these young people. And I think that's been from the young people and our program staff, it's been very impactful for them to really get connected with nature, get connected with other aspects that they would not have done so otherwise. It's usually they're either at school or at home, and having a third space has been very, very important for them. And for our after hours university, AHU, that's our academic enrichment program. We mainly focus that with our public school Brookline partners, and just provide at least 1 to 2 hours of support after school. And that we also have some partnerships with with BU, BC, who come in and provide some programming, like working with Legos to try to program a robot, or partnering with BC volunteers to mentor them, to show them you can do a lot of there's a lot of opportunities after this, and making sure that they can see someone like themselves, someone reflected in them for potential. So That's a little bit about the younger grades. Once we get into older grades, it's more about college access and homework support. Uh, School gets harder as you grow up, so the students definitely need more academic support as they go.
Well, but it's not just that the courses get harder, like life gets harder in high school, right? It gets way more complicated in so many different ways, right? I've got a rising fifth grader, and his life is like, go to school, after school activity, come home, eat dinner, and like start over tomorrow. Pretty simple. Weekends are pretty structured. Not a lot of choices, not a lot of opportunities to get it really right or to get it really wrong. But high school, right, especially in a town like Brookline where kids can move pretty freely, how do you get your hands around it and get them to show up to steps of success instead of going to hang out downtown or like, right? I imagine it's they're coming with a lot more complexities.
You imagine correctly. The high school students, they often need a lot more support than your other your younger students. Traditionally, our high school students require a carrot, to bring them to our program. So a lot of the times we try to connect them with internships or figure out how to get them a job as they are going through high school on top of the academic support that we already provide. Because they are coming from low-income families, their families often, ask of them to work, to bring in some extra income to help out, and that just extends them even more. It's like they have to go to school, they have to go to work, they come to our programs, and then there's another thing that they usually do. They have some after school program through PSB or something else. So yeah, these young people are extremely busy, but we have some very passionate program staff that are always down to support them in any ways they can. And I think that time is so important for them to get that support, because yeah, if you do great in high school, you can have a lot of great opportunities in college. You can potentially get a good scholarship. We had a superstar student a couple years ago, Sabrina, who graduated and was part of Questbridge and got a full ride to Claremont McKenna over in California. And she's doing amazing, but if it wasn't for just getting all that support from everybody, it would be, who knows where she would be. But
Full disclosure, Sabrina Z interned in my office. She was one of my interns. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that. That makes sense though. She's a great advocate for herself, and I think that's something that I think we're not taking the credit for that, because she's her own person. But I think being part of STEPS helps a lot of students advocate for themselves and search for opportunities. So very, very proud of her.
And so, as you said, right, she's a rock star. She was a rock star in my office. Few kids coming out of Steps to Success, few kids coming out of Brookline High School, period, are going to achieve the kinds of things she's achieved so quickly. So, you serve a broad population with natural skills and talents. How do you review the performance of Steps to Success and say, we succeeded with this student, but with this student, we didn't get there? How do you judge success for students who are 17 or 18 or finishing up high school?
It's it's tough to really determine what success means for every different type of student, right? Sometimes it's academic progress, sometimes it's social emotional, just the support that's provided to that young person. Sometimes it's how that young person has built their soft skills throughout the years working with us. I think every student that we serve is in different levels on those spectrums, and making sure that we're able to fill in where we can with those things. Some students might need a lot more academic support than soft skill building, right? So I think that's how we try to manage those metrics of success. But I think having a balanced program is essential to that, because if we just focus on academics, a lot of the other things would fall by the wayside. And I think making sure that students are well-rounded is just important for them to be great college students and great people, and hopefully give back to the town.
So what I think might surprise folks, and you already told us this, but maybe they missed it, I want to ask you about it, is it's easy to imagine a program that ends at the end of 12th grade, right? That's their experience with the Brookline Public Schools. So, push them out of the nest, go fly away. But that's not what Steps to Success does, right? Steps to Success works with essentially the young adult versions of their students, of their folks that they're working with. So tell us about what it means to be connected with Steps to Success after high school.
Yeah, you're right. We support our students until they finish college or whatever post-secondary program they want to pursue. Our CSI program, our College Support Initiative, Success Initiative rather, has been very impactful for our young people. And more than 90% of our students end up completing their post-secondary degree, which in comparison to students with similar demographics, low income status or students of color, it's much higher than those other students. So we're really proud of that work, but it does take a lot of effort. It takes our staff, back when things were in person, our director of our college program will literally drive to the colleges, and our students are all around Massachusetts and even beyond. He would drive to Framingham State or UMass Amherst to meet with these students at least once a month in person, and then by phone or via Google Meet or Zoom another time, and just making sure the students are ready by the time they get to college, making sure they have all their administrative issues set. There's a lot of things that students don't realize, especially when their parents haven't gone to college, that they need to get done. They need to have all their vaccinations in order. They have to pay for school up front instead of having school for free. So it's a lot of things that they have to juggle and deal with. But our staff is very experienced and been doing this work for a long time. And I think because our staff has similar experiences to those young people, they're just really passionate about supporting them and making sure that they go to a college that's a good fit for them, both academically but also financially. We don't want to burden our students with a lot of student debt, so we set a goal of don't take out more than X amount of loans per year to have them be able to live a life after college and not just be saddled with student loans forever.
Well, and of course, we talk about student loan debt under the working assumption that every single person with student loan debt graduates. But in fact, plenty of young people take on student loan debt and don't graduate. And now they're sort of in the worst of both worlds, right? They lost a couple of years of working and they have this debt without the boost for it. So, figuring that out is not so simple. But since we're talking about money anyway, Juan Cantu doesn't work for free. He's got bills to pay, right? And you're doing all of these programming for all of these young people. Who pays for all of this? Is this part of Brookline taxpayers? Is that who's paying for this? Who's doing this?
No. So originally the program started as a part of the public schools of Brookline back when it was started by our founder, Janet Seltzer, but that was funded through a federal grant. And a few years ago, we became a 501c3, our separate nonprofit that's its own distinct organization. And the majority of our funding is a mix of individual donations from donors in the town and around Boston, foundations and corporations, and then government grants. So that's the majority of our support. But yeah, we get a lot of help from CDBG, so community development block grants, or after school, out of school time grants from the Department of Education. But yeah, that's who funds us, our programs, our students, and we continue to need support, especially as we're hitting our 20th year. and we're trying to grow and expand our program from K to 3 as well. Right now we're serving fourth through post college, but research shows that the earlier you get the students, especially students from the backgrounds that we serve, mainly low income, mainly students of color, a lot of English language learners, the earlier you get them, the more likely they're going to be able to succeed. And speaking from experience, my parents don't speak English. I didn't start learning English until I was in school in pre-K. But I loved reading, and that's how I just caught on and was able to succeed academically. So the earlier we get our young people, the better. So as we grow, we're going to need more support, be it from foundations, individuals. So that's what we're doing.
And viewers like you got to work that phrase in. Viewers like you,
absolutely,
steps to success, pay the bills, and do the great work that you do. Actually, I want to go back a little bit. I've been noodling this question in my brain, and the hard part about my job is I got to be careful not to sort of stretch too far to a place where I don't know anything that I'm talking about and ask an absurd question. But I went to NC State University, not as far south as Texas, but south, where there's a much larger percentage of African Americans who go to college than there is in this part of the world. And it was the experience at NC State, a large state university, that particularly Black men in their second year of college crashed out. They would do okay their first year, come back fall semester, second year, and not come back in the spring. That was a really common, so common that the university acknowledged it and tried to build programming around mitigating that phenomenon. And I don't know, I can see skin color, I can't see poverty, right? And in many ways, skin color is much easier to measure than poverty. So I don't know, right, exactly what all of the factors are, but I wonder, does Steps to Success have a similar challenge where everybody's jazzed up for the first year and it's hard, but everybody's ready and like, got to do great. And then people kind of get a little more comfortable and the classes get a lot harder. And second year is like a much different phenomenon. Is that a thing with Steps to Success? Have you guys observed this?
Yeah, a bit. And I think I've observed that in most of my experience with supporting students, especially in post-secondary support. I think when they get to that second year, they're done with the majority of their core classes or general education stuff. So they're getting into their major classes. And that's when it gets tough. That's when you stop taking your classic 101s and you get into your higher level courses. And like you said, a lot of students do end up struggling a lot more. And we do see our young men of color, especially our Hispanic and Black students, struggle more. In the past, I have worked on creating some support systems for our young men of color specifically. So partnering with programs like My Brother's Keeper or Young Men's Initiative, or there's plenty of programs out there right now that are specifically aligned to work with that population. That's something I'm hopeful that we can start doing at Steps. I think we have seen a little bit of that, not as bad, not as strongly as in my past experience, which is good, but I think there's still space for those young men to be supported. And yeah, I think personally, I also struggled a lot my first and second year when I came up for college. Coming from a public school in South Texas to Harvard was a culture shock and an academic shock, to say the least. So going in, I was going to be a physics major. So when I hit quantum physics, that's when it got real, to say the least. So did not decide to continue with that, but still doing okay. But yeah, that's what a lot of our students end up facing, and whatever we can do to support them, we got to figure something out.
So what's coming up soon? I know Steps to Success is busy. You've got some things coming up in the next couple of weeks and months. Tell us what's on the near term.
For sure. We have a lot of things coming up. This is our 20th year, so we have a lot of events and celebrations and drives that kind of are programmed around that 20th year anniversary, making sure that we talk about that. Our K-3 expansion, which is going to be launching in January 2022. So we're going to be starting to expand to our third grade students, year by year as we go until we hit kindergarten. But something the more immediate future is our Stepping Back to School supply drive. So we are currently trying to raise money to support our students as they head back to school. School's right around the corner, and something that we have observed in the past and we continue to try to do is make sure that students have the supplies and the tools needed to succeed in school. Be it, just basic things such as a notebook and pens and pencils to potentially laptops and space to study. So we have a supply drive right now. You can go to our website, stepstosuccessbrookline.org, to learn more, or our Facebook page where we have a Facebook fundraiser as well. And then we also have a community day with our partners at Brookline Housing Authority next Thursday. And we're looking for some volunteers. If folks like you, viewers like you, are interested in participating, it's going to be in the evening, 4 to 6 at Egmont. Let me see exactly but we'll be next week on Thursday. And yeah, we need some volunteers, folks who want to give out food or snacks to kids. There's going to be a bunch of activities on that community day, making sure that the students and families are all well supported and excited for that back to school.
Well, certainly you're going to stay busy, and we're coming into a busy time, right? Once we get back from Labor Day, everybody's going to get busy again. Juan, I want to thank you for doing the work that you do and for coming on Brookline Interactive and spending a little bit of time with us. I'm very excited about the things that are coming, and I have no doubt that you and your organization are really helping improve the lives of kids who frankly deserve it. And so thank you for what you do, and thanks for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having us.